It's been a long week, right? Are you ready to wind down? Why not? It's time for the Wine Time Fridays podcast with Shelley and Phil. Neither are sommeliers, but both have a deep passion for life, each other, and of course, delicious wine. And now, here to talk about this week over a glass of wine is Shelley and Phil. It's wine time.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Wine Time Fridays with Shelley and Phil and Sarah and Mark and Sam and the whole kit and caboodle. The very first, I'm getting warm already, the very first episode of 2024, January 5, episode 194. I'm going to have to look behind me the entire time, aren't I? Shelley, for the first time this year, happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
Happy New Year.
Friday, is there a bell?
It's wine time.
Oh, thank goodness. I've been waiting for this all week.
I find that highly doubtful. But we have gathered together to represent Champagne and French Friday. When we had Mark and Sarah on, gosh, it was about maybe 6-7 weeks ago, something like that, maybe 8 weeks ago. Sarah,
it seemed much warmer.
It's much warmer, but Sarah is super shy. She's like, Champagne and French Fries Day, we're in, and they are here. And so we were here with Sam. There we are. Last year. Oh, look, we're not crooked anymore. Last year, and
Yet.
Yeah. Keyword. At this place, I am gonna. You know what?
Don't touch the camera.
No, I am going to touch the camera because I need people to see this on YouTube. It's super simple. This is the beautiful setup. Check out Lola Wine Lounge. Look at that. I mean, this was the bar that was full of construction, and we are sitting in our favorite spot here in the corner. Okay, enough of that. And the people on the podcast are like, really? Can't see anything because you're on audio. So we have, it looks like 3 sparklers, 1 a champagne, and we should just get started. Sam gets really irritated when there's nothing in our glasses.
Yeah, I'm feeling a little uncomfortable right now.
Okay, so Sam, would you mind opening the very first one? And I have French fries here. We have French fries from this place called McDonald's, which is fantastic. Sarah, I'm going to let you kind of open that. And then we have another one. I actually put out on Facebook a question about where are the best French fries in Coeur d'Alene, and Rogers got a huge nod. So this bag is in dire straits right now. This is really good radio. Really good radio. So we have some dipping sauces. This is turned upside down. We're going to do a lot of cleaning before we leave, Sam. And so, Sam, if you watch, Sam is going to open the proper way of opening a sparkler.
There are a few things you should know about opening a sparkler.
Yes.
And I think we start with the big guns. Pull out the real champagne.
Let's do it.
Dutch.
You don't have to twist my arm.
And this is called they call it the Brut Classique Champagne Dutch. Actually, one of our favorites. We have this on the list.
Oh, good.
Actually, we have all of these on the list. I guess.
My question.
As luck would have it.
Well, this is the one I brought, so I'm glad you have the other ones.
Your question, yes.
Well, my question was,
I was going to put some over here.
I forget.
So once, so let's open the bottle, and I bet it'll come to you in the interim. So key things to note about opening bottles of bubbly: don't point them at anybody, including your own head.
Well, there are exceptions to that if you're having a big old fight, right?
It could be, but but really once you release the cage, as we call it.
Yeah.
This thing is a loaded gun, and sometimes they go off on their own accord. We have a cava that we serve here by the glass. You better have your hand on it when you unleash it because it goes on its own.
We got that one.
Yeah, it's like it's ready. So So you, in a contrary clockwise motion, twist the little wire.
How come Mark backed up a little bit?
And so then it's not so much a matter like now you have your hand on the cork.
Right.
One hand on the cork, one hand on the base of the bottle. My preferred method, and I think the traditionally preferred method, hold the cork, twist the bottle back and forth, and you'll feel the cork starting to ease its way out.
Got it.
Hopefully, or ease or force its way out with reckless abandon, one or the other. But,
right.
And then you can just kind of slow it down. And in a perfect world, you don't shoot the cork or pop the cork. It's just a bit of a sigh.
Nice.
So
that is a sigh. It's a sigh of release. Hashtag sigh of release.
And that's about the extent of that. Especially with a nicer bottle. It's
Thank you. So one of the tricks of doing a champagne and French fries day is to try to keep the fries hot enough. Okay. Okay, thank you. And I'm just gonna, Shelley and I are gonna share. So these are all for you guys. And we have some McDonald's ones here, which I'm really actually very curious because, yes, I know we're dropping fries all over the place. That's okay. We'll pick them up. We'll wipe them up. Well, Shelley, we're back to our original toast because we are in January now.
Take one of those. This one's yours. That one's mine.
Oh, wait a minute. This one. Sorry. Here we go. This one's mine. There we go. This can be yours. Okay. That can be yours.
Thank you. I'm happy.
Okay.
Well, I'll tell you, that was close.
That was close.
Very close. To health, wealth, gratitude, romance, abundance, and
Peace on earth.
peace on earth.
Peace on earth.
Happy 2024.
Cheers.
Let's try the pairing.
Yeah.
The fry. Good.
It was delish. Absolutely delish. So,
There's 3 different ones.
yeah, there's 3 different dipping sauces, ketchup, fry sauce, and ranch is what we
That's
have.
hard.
There could be tartar. So, Sam, you have this on your list.
Yes.
But you have to taste the fry then.
Okay.
We do.
You know if it goes.
And in the realm of your classic non-vintage from a big champagne house roots, this has actually always been one of my personal favorites. Just beautifully well-made, balanced champagne. So the most champagne is non-vintage, and so the tradition in champagne is to produce a non-vintage brut each year, and that's a blend of multi-vintages typically in order to come up with a consistent house style. In Champagne, in France in general, in Champagne, vintages vary from year to year. The climate, the weather, such varies. You may have a great vintage, then you may have a just so-so vintage. By blending the wines together into a non-vintage brut, you can create a house style.
How many years typically? How many vintages are going?
I think that varies.
2 to 4.
Yeah, I would say that. Yeah,
Okay.
3 or 4 probably.
Yeah.
And so that you establish your house style, you create that consistently year to year, and then you have a consistency of style. So all the major, champagne houses, Moet or Veuve or Dutz or such Roederer all have a non-vintage brut. In very good, exceptional years, they will produce a single vintage wine, which is generally what they call their tête de cuvée, their top luxury reserve wine. For Moet, that wine is Dom Perignon. For Veuve Clicquot, it's Le Grand Dame. Roederer Cristal. I don't remember what the ditch is offhand in the moment. But but I've always felt amongst that this is one of my very favorites.
Yeah, it's interesting. So we are actually having this in a pretty large glass. Is this your red wine glass that you?
This is our what we call Burgundy glass. In terms of red wine glasses, we have a what we term a Cabernet or a Bordeaux glass. The Bordeaux glass is mostly for Cabernet or Merlot based wines and all of that other ilk. And then this is a Burgundy glass, which Pinot Noir.
Yeah.
Also, this is traditionally, I think correctly, the glass for good French white Burgundy, so good Chardonnay.
Okay.
We will also serve a more full-bodied oaked California Chardonnay in this type of a glass. Lighter whites in a smaller, glass. I think champagne flutes have little or no use in my life. You can't. I think enjoy the wine. The aromatics of the wine as much. They're less a matter of function and more a matter of style. I think that's what people think of traditionally with sparkling wine is a champagne flute. Also, annoyingly, you can't put very much in them.
It is,
which is another downside.
I mean, it comes to the top very fast.
So I started enjoying personally champagne and recommending other people to do it in just generally speaking a larger glass. I was watching a video on YouTube, I believe, because we were having a wine importer that was coming to present their wines, and I knew that he was going to be presenting champagne from Igli Orie. And so Mr. Igli is a very interesting character who has very definitive ideas about a lot of things. And one of them, I'm watching this video, and they're using this exact glass to enjoy at his chateau to enjoy their champagne. And the interviewer asks, he says, well, why are we using this glass? He says, what is champagne? It's Burgundy, wine from Burgundy, France. Yeah. It's composed of Chardonnay and Pinot Noir, typically mostly. And this is the proper glass for that. The fact that ours has effervescence doesn't change the fact that the glass is still arguably the right glass.
The argument behind using a glass like this is that the bubbles dissipate faster in the opening. But Shelley and I have made no secret. Our very favorite sparkler glass is the white wine glass by Andrea Robinson. It's a little smaller, Burgundy style. It's a little smaller. And we had last week the Veuve Clicquot that the bubbles went away pretty quick, but that didn't matter. You took a sip and they were right there. Yeah. They reminded you.
The appearance of the bubbles goes away.
Yep.
But they're, and especially with good champagne. I mean, I've discovered by accident, perhaps that you can open a bottle of good champagne, drink a good portion of it, and then leave the rest sitting there and come back the next morning and go, oh my gosh, we never finished the champagne. However could that happen? And so, well, let's try it,
Why do we have Sam on so often when that sort of thing happens?
and then you try it and it's still fine. Good champagne will hold its bubbles for a surprisingly long time. That said, if it's a little less effervescent, it's still as delicious.
Sure. We walked in here to set up and we brought our Wine Time Fridays spit bucket. And I asked Sarah, do you know what that is? And Sarah said, I've heard of it.
I don't use them, but
no, why would you? But we do as just a suggestion. I don't even know if it's a suggestion we endorse. Shelley does. She got the spit bucket. She endorses it.
Sometimes you need it.
So we're going to take a quick break so we can all finish this and get to our next one. And when we come back, we're actually going to hear a little bit from Sarah and Mark, who have just been so quiet. But they're
drinking this wonderful champagne.
This is really good. We'll be right back. Ooh. Welcome back to Wine Time Fridays. we were all just exclaiming how much we enjoyed this. Now we're going to get on to
Dump bucket.
dump bucket sparkler number 2. And while Sam's opening that, I'm going to ask Sarah and Mark, what's new at Liberty Lake Cellars?
Oh my gosh.
What is
Port is new.
Port? We
Ooh.
bottled a port, our first port, probably last port in August.
Uh-oh.
It was
You went all the way to Portugal to get this.
Port style.
port style. Yeah, getting the labels approved was a venture. We're like, oh, we got to put fortified wine, and they didn't like that. And then Sarah finally figured out she was talking to some chatbot
Yeah.
AI thing and
But we
spitting back rejections. So
ChatGPT?
yeah,
yeah. But it's a Zinfandel port.
Oh, chatbot.
So
okay.
do you have to put the word port on
You
it?
can't put the word port on it or fortified.
You can't put fortified either? Can you use
And I
port
couldn't even-
style?
How do you do it then?
I'm not sure.
Oh,
Which of course is the last, possibly the last, because of this maybe.
yeah. They actually ripped out the Zinfandel block we were getting it from because
Oh.
everybody was having problems with it. It was a very tricky spot.
Is that Washington?
It's Red Heaven,
Red
in
Mountain.
Red Mountain.
Yeah. Porteous or?
Uh,
Some,
That's right next to Hedges.
yeah. Okay.
But
Not
you know,
sure.
it came off at like 36 bricks, so there was no. We were making port from the get-go.
Yeah. Right.
Um,
That's one to play with.
yeah,
Kind of a
and of course
technical
we didn't
aspect.
have spirits, so we had Up North Distillery
Mhm.
distill some of our Cab Franc.
This is fun, man.
Yeah, so
Keeping
it's a
it
red-
in the neighborhood.
Yeah, Red Mountain brandy, which is probably the most expensive brandy.
Right.
Yeah.
But it came together. I racked it a bunch of extra times, so it's more of a tawny style. It's got a drier finish.
Okay.
Um,
I have to have you explain your shirt, Mark.
Yeah.
oh,
He thought it was perfect for today. So.
yeah,
Although we don't have any caviar,
yeah.
no caviar, but we replaced the caviar with French fries.
Yes, that's great too.
So another thing that I love, and kind of in that same, the fancy with, good champagne with
Right.
French fries,
Sure.
is caviar with potato chips.
Very good.
Great.
Yeah.
And you can also drink champagne with that, as it turns out.
As it turns out, you can
In fact, you
taste-
should.
drink champagne with almost everything.
They claim that in champagne, and in fact, I find it to be
So,
true
how about a steak?
yes,
Really?
sure.
Because that would be the one thing that I would think, it's really versatile, but really a nice steak. But
I mean, it's not what I do,
well,
but
okay.
the acid and the effervescence. I mean, it will balance out, a lot of kind of anything really. And you think prime rib with a salty crust
Yeah,
and a lot
yes,
of
yeah.
fat. It's fat and salt, which is what makes this work.
Exactly.
And
So what do we have in our glass, Sam?
see, I had prime rib yesterday, and I at some point had
So did
bubbly,
we.
but the
Yeah.
bubbly was gone by the time we got to the prime rib, and so Cabernet it was.
That's probably perfect.
Yeah, it was fine.
What do we have here?
Okay, this is a sparkling wine from France that is not from Champagne specifically. So even in France, you have to be within that border that defines Champagne in order to call it Champagne. This is from the Loire Valley. This wine is 100% Chenin Blanc. This is from Domaine Huet, who is I think, exemplary producer of all things Chenin Blanc.
Mhm.
For everything from one of my favorite non-sparkling dry Chenin Blancs is from this producer. They make a full range of non-sparkling wines, including delectable, very sweet late harvest, botrytis affected Chenin Blanc dessert wines, and also this sparkling version.
Hashtag cheersing.
Cheers.
We only have 3 that we'll be toasting. We can toast each one. After when we have 7 or 8, it's like, okay, we're not toasting anymore.
So we were talking about the glass. We actually have coupes at home, and
Yes.
it's kind of the same bowl,
It is.
but just you can slosh it around
Yeah.
and not spill it.
Oh boy. Wow.
I love a proper coupe as well.
How?
Glasses are fun.
So the first one, the Duts.
Mhm.
Okay, because I do not speak French at all. that is from the I region of Champagne. AY.
Yes, presumably.
Okay.
I think it is.
No, that's
what
what
it
my
says?
friend at Bard said.
Yeah.
Um,
That was my recollection. Yeah.
formerly known as Dutton Guterman, produced based in the I region of Champagne. How far is this one from the border of Champagne? Give or
Couldn't
take.
tell you.
You can tell me. We're all
No, I
friends,
couldn't tell.
okay?
I mean, I could. I would if I could, but I can't. I'm not sure.
But it is interesting because some of the best value sparklers from France
Mhm.
are the ones that are just kind of
Next, right.
kind of right up next or thereabouts, where you're not paying the premium for a champagne,
Right.
But
Yeah.
you are.
So Dutz is within that. I mean, Dutz is regarded as a probably, to me, superior producer to Moet or Veuve or
Is
the
that
big,
right?
the really big house. This is I would go for this before those. It's
Well,
probably
It does.
at least as expensive or maybe marginally more than those guys regular.
so we got this at Bottle Joy.
Yeah.
Our friends at
Yes.
Bottle Joy, and
Joy and Kurt are fans of this producer as
yes.
and Anna and I both are big fans of Dutz as well.
Oh,
Yeah.
so Anna's not here, but we should talk about Anna. Anna is a partner with you here at Lola Wine Bar.
Indeed, she is. Yes.
Yeah.
And you could say, and we sometimes do, that the Lola name derives from our last names. So Lombard, L-O, Lange, L-A. And so our LLC was Lola Wine LLC. And it was, in fact, Anna's idea. She said, I just like the name Lola. I think we'll just call it Lola.
Yeah, it's a good name.
And we looked at her and said, well, of course we should. Why would we not?
When we discussed this a year ago on
Yeah.
Champagne and French Friday, you said, what Lola wants, Lola gets.
That is true. And here we are.
And here we are.
And it's champagne and French fries.
Oh, gosh.
This proves the point, doesn't it?
It really does. I love the idea that you are not only endorsing but embracing the idea of having a champagne with a fatty French fry, salty, that is considered. Who wants to have French fries? Well, we do because this is French champagne.
Yes.
And
Yes, we can call them pommes frites if you want. And but so I will say there is a restaurant in New Orleans who has a famous appetizer, and depending on which glass of champagne you have accompany it, it's either $60 or $90, I believe. But it's a glass of champagne and an order of French fries, and it's a famous appetizer at this restaurant, which I can't recall the name of at the moment. But
so a number of us, we had a lot of people give a lot of ideas. So here were some of the ideas that we got for French fries. Okay. We had Rogers, which we're having. We had Burger Doc, which we would love to, but they're closed on this recording day. We had Caddyshack, Circling Raven Golf Course Restaurant. Okay.
Oh, there we
That would
go.
be great. Yeah,
they'll
that'd
be super cool.
Yeah. We also had the Pentagon in Post Falls. Those are well aware of that. Again, super cold. And Red Robin. Yum.
We
Yum.
talked about.
Yeah, that was our number 2 choice.
But
Yeah.
we wanted Bluebird, which is also closed today.
Yeah.
They've
So-
got real skinny ones.
Is that? Oh yeah.
Yeah.
The shoestring. Almost.
Yeah.
Yes. So there are a plethora of different ways you can go with this.
Yes.
You know.
My favorite French fry regionally is Brasserie 4 in Walla Walla. Spectacular French fries. Go there, get the mussels and frites and a bottle of champagne. So it's all you need to do. It's all you need to know.
Maybe
brilliant.
chocolate.
Chocolate.
Eventually.
What about garlic French fries? Would they go well with this? Because
I
I have
mean-
a lot of people say, like Crown of Thistle.
Yeah.
Has these great and gravy and the
Mhm.
chips and
Right.
gravy.
That's so
I
We
weird.
wonder if
ended up
that's a
not
bit
doing
much
that.
for fancy champagne.
Yeah.
Or Beverly's truffle fries.
What do you know about Beverly's? Then?
I actually, speaking of the Beverly's truffle fries, which are like a little truffle and Parmesan kind of a
Shelley
thing.
loves those. Yeah.
And there was a wonderful couple who would come in on a fairly regular basis to Beverly's. and they would order an order of truffle fries,
Right.
and a bottle of Roederer Cristal Rosé, which is in truth at Beverly's a $1,000 bottle of champagne, and
some fries.
spectacular. And they wanted with French fries. Sometimes if they're hungry, they would say, you know what, let's start with the fried chicken and the fries, and then get another order of fries and another bottle of champagne. And if
God
it
love
was yes, it was
those people who help keep this city going in the tough times.
yeah, but it was a brilliant idea.
Sure.
So, Sam, in episode 100 of Wine Time Fridays, we had a Roederer Cristal.
Oh, he did.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was fantastic. It's Shelley's very favorite, which irritates me a little bit. Champagne.
She has great taste.
Yeah. Yes. Less filling, great. Yeah, very expensive, honey. I love you.
But that's your last one.
Well, not necessarily, but we have 200 coming up here. This is episode 194.
Oh my goodness.
6 weeks away from 200.
Hmm.
If I was asking Sam Lange, because we do have an Opus 1 downstairs, a 17. But I don't know if we want to crack that open without Lindsay and Brian. What would you suggest would be a good episode 200 celebration wine?
So it's open to anything. It's not just champagne at this point.
Yes.
Right.
Within somewhat reason.
right. See, if it was episode 100, a 100-acre would be kind of a cool thing to do. It's episode 200.
Yeah.
Maybe 2 bottles of 100-acre.
You could do that.
I'll think about that.
Yeah.
There's
I know.
countless
It's
possibilities.
unlimited.
I mean, there are iconic Napa Valley wines.
Sure.
We could go France. First growth Bordeaux, or really great Chateauneuf de Pop, or
I don't think I've had a first growth Bordeaux ever.
Really?
The other, there's plenty of Bordeaux out there.
Mhm.
In fact, for our
Yeah.
Christmas Rotary Christmas party, we got so tell me, was this a Jeroboam, but it's a double magnum? I was up at Costco, $45 for this Bordeaux. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
Was it Lange one though?
I can't tell you exactly. Look back in our wines that we enjoyed from a week ago. I think it was just a week ago we put that down. But I was looking for what that bottle size is called. All I could find is double magnum, and then the Jeroboam. But I think
Jeroboam is more of a champagne specific size. I think in red wines we just call them double magnum.
okay, that's good. That's super easy.
I
Double
think
magnum.
3 liter.
3 liter.
Yeah, 3 liter.
3
double
liter.
magnum. Yeah.
It took 3 of us to pour the first couple glasses. But they have some wine bottle sizes that are a full case.
Yeah, there's one over here.
Chef
It's a 9 liter. It's Salmanazar. It's a 9 liter bottle.
Salmanazar.
Yeah, and
And-
we have one up in the
Salmanazar.
thing that when I left Beverly's, the staff very generously pitched in and bought a 9 liter bottle of 2009 Ken Wright Shea Vineyard Pinot Noir, and brought it to my going away party at Stylus, our good friends.
Yes.
And we opened it, and it was beautiful.
Did open it.
We opened it, and we killed it.
You killed it.
Yeah, there were
like 4.
Oh no, 20 people ish, but there was a lot of other wine there.
But that's a big bottle to pour.
It's a big bottle of wine. Yeah,
Wow.
it's like pouring out of a fire hose. You can't pour it into glasses. You always
No.
have to just have someone with
Sure.
decanters,
Yeah.
and you just find a place to prop it, and then pour it into the decanter. And
Well,
it's a process.
I will speak for the 4 of us. Thank you for the invite for that party.
Yeah.
I was the guest at that party,
Okay.
so I had no idea who would show up. As a matter of fact,
That's awesome. We're going to take one more break, and when we come back, we're going to finish off with this rosé, also from France, yes?
Also from France, yeah, why not?
I love this. Welcome back to Wine Time Fridays with Shelley and Phil, Sam Lange, and of course, Mark and Sarah from Liberty Lake Cellars, who really twisted her arm to make it on this episode.
Thank you again for inviting us.
Yeah. Invited.
Yeah, inviting.
That really is delicious. That is
That is
fantastic.
great.
By the way, Sam, what is the price point on that last sparkler that we had here at Lola? Give or
Very
take.
good question.
Okay.
In the $60,
Okay.
60, 65
That's
kind of a range
really
here.
nice.
Here in a, wine bar, restaurant,
Sure.
service setting. So,
Sure. And by the
So-
way, I think we've had these conversations a lot. For those of you, and we have had Sam on now 4 times, and we have talked about this. Restaurants, they have to have a higher margin. They just have to. And people are like, but it's so expensive. But they have to have those margins. And so just understand that when you go in, it's paying for staff, it's paying for overhead and everything. And so just need to get that disclaimer out there, I think. Oh, this
correct. To me, it's like the equivalent. It's like, yes, you pay more money for a bottle of wine in a restaurant where you're sitting in their facility,
Yes.
taking up space.
By the way, how long has that wine been downstairs in the cellar,
And
taking up real estate?
that, and drinking out of their glassware, which
Yeah.
they don't charge you for when you break it. But more to the point, it's like if you go to any, you go to a restaurant and order a hamburger, it's more expensive than if you just went to the store and bought some hamburger and
Right.
went home and cooked it yourself.
Absolutely, yeah.
Which
So
it's just you're paying for. To me, you're paying for experience,
and
it's
that's
like,
exactly
if you want to have that experience of going out and
exactly.
being served and having those things, then that's what you're paying for.
You like this, huh, Shelley?
Pretty.
Hashtag cheersing.
Cheers.
Sam almost took a sip. That would be a violation of all Wine Time Friday rules.
I was merely smelling vigorously.
This one is
That's
very
good.
bubbly.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, Sam,
Mhm.
what do we have in our glass? Oh, I need to make sure I'm doing this right.
So, from France, from just across the border. So this is still within the Burgundy region of France, but not within specifically the Champagne district of the Burgundy region of France. This is a Brut, what do we call it? Cremant de Bourgogne. So sparkling wine from the Burgundy region of France. I always struggle to pronounce this correctly, probably because we had a joke way of referring to it.
Please tell us what the joke way is.
And Prosper Malfou. But anyway.
Shelley can pronounce it. She speaks
Oh, yes.
French.
No.
Yes.
I don't speak
She's-
it anymore.
Please.
I can't even see.
But I just think a wonderful example of, yes, that this is just across the border. It's not within the region, but it's still a Burgundy, within Burgundy, but Champagne is just a sub-region of Burgundy, France. A great value, really nice, legit, Méthode Champenois style rosé.
But method champenois can be made in other countries.
Anywhere. I mean, it's just the
It's just a
champagne method or the
Champagne method.
traditional method. They call it different things in different places, but it's basically means it's fermented in the bottle naturally, and it's not carbonated after the in a
Yep.
bulk process.
There's some disgorgement involved.
Yeah. Yes. So because if you ferment it in the bottle, you have to put yeast in the bottle and put a cap on it, and then let it go through another fermentation. The carbon dioxide that's released during that fermentation carbonates the wine, and then the disgorging part is where you have to blow that little bit of dead yeast cells and
Leaves.
leaves and such off out of the end of it. Yeah,
Do you have sparklers by the glass here?
we do. We have 3. There is a Spanish cava, which is just very clean, very fresh.
I like coffee.
Like nice little cava.
So easy to drink.
Then there's a richer, more kind of champagne-y, kind of sparkling wine, almost more of a rich like a richer, like you think that Veuve style. This got a little more richness to it. But it's from South Africa, from Graham Beck. It's a vintage dated Blanc de Blanc from Graham Beck from South Africa, and it's got a little more richness and complexity to it. And then we have a rosé, which is from Ilahi, Willamette Valley. Brew rosé, very nice.
This is very bright. It's got some
Yeah,
little
it's great.
strawberry stuff on it going.
And what grapes are these? They're
Yeah, that's a great
Pinot
question.
Noir, probably.
I think mostly Pinot Noir. Yeah. Good question.
So did we finish with rosé because it's a little heavier wine? Or
I
we
think
just-
so. I don't know. Just in the progression, it seems like we should open with the big dog. Although maybe the Huet would be the logical first thing to have if you're like doing a
It's lighter
tasting.
than-
Yeah.
But
I kind of wanted to
splitting
open with
hairs
the
a little bit
champagne.
at this point. It's kind of splitting hairs. I mean, you could kind of
Yeah.
almost
Yeah.
go.
And
Yeah.
fortunately, there's more in the bottle, so we can always go back and revisit.
Did you say
Let's
fortunately or
test out
unfortunately?
No, no. It's never
Never
unfortunate.
Well, while we're kind of sipping through this, I want to talk a little bit about the social web wine word of the week, Shelley. Do you know how to pronounce this? It's Remuage.
Mush.
Remage. That's another word for riddling. And when we talk about champagnes, or really any method champenois, they riddle. We have a riddling rack at home. It's only half of it. It leans up against the wall. And we don't riddle anything.
No.
But there are bottles of wine in there, and it's fantastic. I can't remember where I saw it down in Napa, where they actually hand riddle.
Mhm.
Is it an eighth of a turn, a quarter of a
I
turn?
think it's like a quarter of a turn.
Okay.
Yeah.
But this is another word for riddling, which is the process of gradually turning and tilting champagne bottles to collect lees in the neck.
Yeah.
Because because it's pointed down.
But as you have as you turn it, you kind of also pull it a little bit, and so the neck become
Interesting.
So the way the bottle sits in the rack, you start, and then you can.
So there's a little manipulation.
Yes, there is.
Oh, interesting. I don't think I ever knew that it starts like this, and then it just starts going a little bit further and further because you want to get the lees down.
Yeah, right, and you get it eventually. So
So what happens?
I think when you get home, you'll have to fiddle with your riddling rack. Yes.
But there's no wine in there. There's just empty bottles on the rack.
But still, you can fiddle.
Oh,
with
for
it.
sure. Yeah, for sure. So,
I think it's Domaine Chandon.
oh yes, that's right. Yep.
Tour in the case.
Yeah, they.
Schramsberg also down
What-
there. Schramsberg
Oh,
also.
Oh yeah, really
down there. I
interesting.
guess they're on the Sonoma side.
No, they're
Memphis?
Calistoga-ish, around Calistoga.
Yeah.
That was my old stomping ground.
Oh yeah,
Ah.
we did a tour there. And it
Yeah,
was
I love
great.
Schramsberg.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
fantastic.
So with Domaine Chandon, I can't speak on Schramsberg, but Domaine Chandon, they have a little area where they, hand
Let you-
riddle, and everything else is machine riddled.
Oh yeah, most wineries do. So, but you remember Mountain Dome Winery, which is up in the foothills of Mount Spokane. Wonderful people. They started that winery. The kids when they were little, because this dates me, but they goes back to like 30-ish years ago when they opened that winery, and.
So you're 6 years old. That's
Right. Yeah. So I had a wine shop at the time as a wee lad, and but we got to know these people, and we would go up and to their home. They lived in a geodesic dome up at the winery, and
We have never been there.
No, we have not.
yeah, they're not. It's not
There.
really there anymore. But the little kids, they didn't have mechanical riddling. So if you didn't get good grades or you misbehaved, or it's like what you're doing, you're going to go down and riddle for
That is
the
awesome.
weekend. Yeah, riddling was the chore, and
There's something to
Yeah.
be said for that.
yeah, it was a cool thing actually. Yeah.
So I feel like I need to mention this here in about a month. We're going to have Tiridas on. You carry some
I
Tiridas?
do. I actually that that was sitting up as amongst the things I was thinking about bringing out. Tyrtis was one of them. Yeah.
We are going to sit through, and I think we're going to taste through 8
Oh my gosh.
different sparkling wines.
Dump bucket.
So
Bring
and it's a really interesting
Yeah.
thing because they make like Pinot Gris based a really good
Really?
Pinot Gris based sparkling wine, and
Wow.
have more traditional grapes and different things. They're interesting folks, and they're doing it right.
You know, the consistent thing about them is what you just said. Their story, they're interesting. Everyone calls them kids because they think they're kids.
Well, they're very young.
Yeah, I mean,
Just like you guys.
They're much younger than us.
Yeah.
Thank you.
well, does anybody want to revisit anything?
Well, we need to talk about Champagne and French Fry Day, how it originated.
Please enlighten us.
So now you're going to have me do it.
Yes, I am.
All right. So
But I have a.
it was started by
I think we go back to
Anna
the beginning.
Maria
Anyone object?
Cambarakis,
Nope.
a sommelier and founder of Chenia Wine Tours in Crete, and her friend Cleopatra Bright. So one afternoon in New York City, they were having champagne and French fries, and they thought it was a good idea. So they hashtagged it, and they decided to start a holiday, an official holiday.
So the hashtag is
Only in 2022. January
Yeah.
1st, 2022.
hashtag Champagne
Which
and
is
Fries Day.
Anna Maria's birthday.
And her friend's name is Cleopatra.
Her friend is Cleopatra.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anna,
That doesn't come up every day.
no, less than every day. Anna Maria is the
Oh, of course.
the wavering wine. Look in the notes, you'll see it. I'm going to put a link to their post about how this all started. Don't look at the typos in their post, which they're there. Like, oh man, why'd you do that?
Anyways,
So,
it's only 2 years old.
yeah, it's brand spanking new, and we have had it 2 years in a row now because it's important to us. One of the questions actually was, can you substitute a non-champagne for champagne and French fry days? And yes, of course, you can. Method champenois is encouraged. Yeah.
Yes.
But, they said cava, prosecco, all of that will
All of it.
will run the gamut, because what it amounts to is getting these bubbles that pair with the salt and
Acid and bubbles,
Yeah.
salt and fat.
yeah.
Marriage made in heaven. Boy,
Mm.
you go back.
It's
See, this is the thing. You go back around and you realize this is really good.
Which one is that?
We're back to the Duts.
That's the first one we did, right?
Yeah.
The Duts?
Yeah. It's the real deal.
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is really good.
It's interesting how it does evolve.
But I mean, it does maybe a little bit, but also when you're, it's the first thing you drink and you're just like, oh no, you're enjoying it, but maybe you pay attention more and
Right.
then having things in contrast to something else. It's like, to me, that's the way to learn what you like.
Oh, for
It's
sure.
like, try a few different things and then cycle back through them and compare them back and forth. And that's really how you learn what you like.
Which
That's why little flights are good. For
Little
Yes.
flights are good, yes.
it prompts
Yeah,
me to
thank
ask
you.
the question, Sam, because wine, people get really overwhelmed by the whole wine world. That's one of the reasons why we started this podcast, is kind of not dumb it down, but bring it down to
normal people.
normal people, right? And so one of the things you always heard, red wine, red meat, white wine, white meat, fish, things like that.
Mhm.
In our house, we really don't embrace that.
Mhm.
We will have a white wine to start the evening usually. Almost every night, Shelley, we end up with red no matter what
Mm-hmm.
we're having.
Yes.
Is it always the perfect pairing? No, but it almost
Sometimes
always works.
you can have
Yeah.
a white meat with a sauce that goes with the red.
It seems like
you can make it work. Yeah, you match better, but it's like there are, in my view, a limited number of wine food matches that just don't work.
Right.
And probably they're not going to work with red or white. And
Almost, yeah.
And wine and
You need
food.
milk.
It's wine and it's food. It's going to be fine. I mean, sauerkraut is tough for any wine. It doesn't matter what wine it is. There are things, pickled things, and there are things that are going to be challenging.
Tacos.
Syrah.
Tacos, I
Zinfandel.
think red's fine.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, or sparkling wine.
Yeah.
Well, fish tacos.
Yeah.
Fish, for sure.
Yeah, but I don't know. I agree. We often will open a bottle of white wine, maybe while we're cooking dinner and prepping and hanging out, but when you're sitting down to dinner, we almost always end up drinking red wine, and it's like you just make it work. And I also I kind of believe that in the course of sitting and having a meal, it's like, okay, I've got this piece of fish.
Sure.
And I'm going to have a sip of my wine, and then I'm going to have a bite of the fish. I'm going, whatever. And then I'm going to have a couple more bites of fish, maybe have another sip of wine, a couple more bites of fish, another sip of wine. And then the fish is gone. And you've had maybe 3 or 4 like little sips of wine. It's like 3 or 4 sips of wine is not getting the bottle done, right?
Yeah, it's completely different than our house.
So
No, that's with you.
no, but I mean, but then most of the wine you end up drinking
By itself.
kind of by itself,
Kind of,
anyway,
yeah.
right? And so I don't know. It's like, if you find that bite of food with that wine is just not good at all, then
Just keep
You just
eating.
kind of
just finish the food and then go back to the wine. Or, hey, wait, there's a little bit of that white wine left from when we were prepping dinner. Let's pour a little bit of that, or
You can go backwards.
or whatever.
It's
You can
okay.
always go backwards. It's
Yeah.
like, hey, I want a sip of this with my food. If you really want to have a sip of wine with every bite of your food, but really, if it just doesn't work, just I don't know, eat the
Eat the
4-ounce piece of fish and then go back to your wine.
I have not brought this up for a while, but DC, who is no longer with us, was the Sommelier and Wine Bar for the Metropolitan Grill in Seattle. I asked him in my early wine drinking days, DC, is it better to sip the wine and have a bite, or have a bite and sip the wine? And his answer was
Yes.
yes.
Mhm.
And so it seriously is kind of, I mostly will have a bite and then taste the wine, but I cannot not have a taste of the wine after taking a bite.
Mhm. Right.
It's not in my DNA anymore. So is that
Yeah.
bad? Am I a bad person?
No.
Okay.
But if it tastes bad,
Just-
go back to the other
Yeah.
wine.
There's
Or those good old brownies that are left over in the kitchen.
we have very few of those brownies left. So I am going to say we have some of the wines that we enjoyed this week. We had a good lineup, Shelley. We had 7 cellars, the Farm Cabernet Sauvignon. That continually delivers. Duckhorn, 3 Palms Vineyard Merlot.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, the wine that
It's me.
put Duckhorn on the map. That was the whole point when Dan and Margaret first started that winery. They'd gone to Bordeaux. They said everybody in Napa Valley. Which when they came along, there was a pretty good population of wineries in Napa Valley. They're all banking everything on Cabernet.
Yeah.
And they went to Bordeaux and they toured Bordeaux and they tasted wines. They ended up in the right bank and they were tasting these wines that were made based on Merlot.
Yeah,
They're going,
78%
wow, this
Merlot.
Petrus is like really good. This Cheval Blanc is really good.
Right.
They're going, why we grow Merlot in Napa? Why don't we base a wine on Merlot instead of Cabernet? And that's what started Duckhorn Winery. And it was the 3 Palms Vineyard Merlot in particular, and that's still their most
We
well
Way back
rated
then, I
and
had
famous
to be
wine.
on the list.
It's a
You had to
special.
wait and wait until.
That's a special iconic wine. To
What's
me.
the
That's
price
a
point on that?
$100. Yeah, it was an 18.
Did
We didn't pay $100 for it. We had a couple down in our cellar, and it was worthy of a Christmas day with our
Tenderloin.
tenderloin.
Yeah.
And
that is boy, that's a good move. right
it
there.
was
Yeah.
sensational.
Yeah.
I feel like we could stop the podcast right now on
Yeah.
that note, but we're going to keep going. And we also had the King Estate Chardonnay, which was actually pretty dang good also. Fidelitas Op 2. Yeah, that's some good wine right there. Red Mountain.
Yeah.
Wow.
All the way
And then-
up now. Yeah.
Yep. Elson
Delta.
Cellars, Syrah, and some things coming up. Oh, it's fantastic. Jody's doing a good job over there. February 1, International Ferment Day. Sam, what is your relationship with ferment?
Fermentation, the process of fermentation.
Ferment grape.
Yeah. You know, well, there's Hungarian Tokaj, which I personally believe that Hungarian Tokaj is long, it was long underrated because it wasn't available.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's behind the, it was a communist bloc country for so long. But one of the great dessert wines in the world, on a par with really good Sautern, really good, German, Trockenberg and Auslese, all those wines, very, very high level dessert wines. I love them. I love them. Also, there's some really good dry ferments as well.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Nice. We have had a ferment on. I don't know if we'll have one on this year. I'm kind of thinking not. We have all these guests lined up. I don't think
Is it National Ferment Day or?
It is February 1.
Who knew?
Well, you do now.
Yeah.
There's a date for everything.
There's a day for everything,
Definitely.
which we embrace.
Love this.
February 2 is Happy Birthday to South African Wine. And can we just say, Happy Birthday, South African Wine. You guys are making a statement. So good job.
Yeah.
And then we have February 5 is Rosé Day, but only in Australia and New Zealand. But we're okay with that because rosé every day. And then February 16th, International Syrah Day. Next week, Shelley, we're bringing Joy and Kurt Grady back on. And we're going to be down in the speakeasy.
The secret speakeasy.
Behind the
soda
machine.
If we just keep saying we really want to be there,
You-
keep inviting us.
I know.
One never knows. So we're really excited. By the way, there's going to be a little surprise. A little surprise next week that Shelley doesn't even know about. I'm not going to even let her know until the day of our recording. Actually, as we're recording. A huge thanks to today's sponsors, Eternal Wine and J. Bookwalter Wines. Mark and Sarah, do you have anything that you want to add to today? You guys have just been drinking.
It's been a great
This
night.
is
Thank
a
you.
good spectator.
Yeah.
Yeah. Feed me fries and champagne.
Yeah. I want Sam to come to the winery and tell people about you can revisit the stuff at the beginning of the lineup after you've tasted
Right.
everything, because so
Do you
many
get-
people won't do that, and it's frustrating.
I think it's really educational
Yeah.
because we all enjoyed the French champagne,
Mhm.
the Dutz, but I don't think as much until
second
we
time
went back around. It's like
yes.
you're going, oh yeah,
That's
now I get it.
Yeah.
But it says share and compare, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
so
Should we do one at their facility where we're all there again?
I wouldn't
Yeah.
have a problem with that at all.
I think so.
I wouldn't have no problem. Shelley, problem with that?
No.
No, not at
Lots
all.
of fun in that barrel room.
We've had some fun in that barrel room. Good, clean fun, but we've had fun. I wanted to say we have coming up. I don't even have all the people, but we have Savaya. We said Trinidis. Did I say that right?
Mhm.
Okay. Because
Cheers.
Trinidis. That's
You
okay.
said it the first
I
time.
read it the
Yes,
first time.
yeah.
And so, and we have Jay Bookwalter. We're going to have John on with Fast Eddie. Yeah. And so, Edward Holmes.
As it turns out, I know him fairly well.
So you
Some-
get the fast.
So,
I do.
by the way, a lot of people seem to know Edward pretty well.
Yeah.
We're going to have to bring that up with John.
He's a very gregarious fellow
He is.
and a dear friend. He's a good man.
He is a good guy. Any last parting shots from anybody? I'm just going to put it out there.
I'm gonna say we are pouring a Bookwalter wine, the Merlot,
Good.
by the glass.
Excellent.
Here, and people are loving it. It's been a hit. So, and just in the Bookwalter category.
They also have their readers.
Yeah, this is the Reader's Merlot.
Yeah.
Yeah, you see the Reader's Cabernet around a lot.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of the Merlot. Merlot is not, and I feel like it's still because of the movie,
Yes.
which kind of took Merlot took a hit from that.
But it leaves more for the rest of us.
It does. So the thing, so Merlot is not nearly as popular, and so you can source like really good Merlot fruit and not have to pay as much money for it as you do for
Can you talk to my grower?
average. All right, yeah. So I will say, I think in Washington State, Merlot is one of the best grapes that we grow in Washington.
And it's
like,
yeah.
It's very, I would say, easy,
Yeah.
but it does what it's supposed to do.
yes, yeah,
Which is nice.
yeah.
Wasn't
So-
it a low yield this
Yes.
past year with the
Very,
Merlot?
yeah.
Yeah, we were 70% light.
But that
But
made up for the previous year.
My friends at Kiona got me in their old vine Merlot. So
Oh,
now
nice.
going forward, we're going to have that too.
Nice.
It's so.
That's a good spot.
I love the relationships that true wine growers and producers have
And
these
make-
relationships. Yeah, because competition is fine. It's all well and good. We know there's competition. Sam, you have competition. There are so many wine bars opening up, but there's no wine bar like your wine bar.
Right, and all of the other wine bars are very good friends.
I
And
know.
We visit each other's establishments.
Yeah.
So yeah,
It's
absolutely.
a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
And so it's the same with the producers and all of that. I think with a little bit of knowledge, Shelley, wine becomes a lot less overwhelming. So happy. Thanks, Sam, for being a friend of our podcast.
Thank you.
Mark and Sarah, thanks for barging in on this
Thank you for
episode.
having us.
Shelley, thank you for being the buffer between Sarah and Mark and me, for punching my lights out. And we'll see you next week with Kurt and Joy Grady.
Yay.
Thank you for spending part of your day to wind down with Shelley and Phil. Remember, you can listen to any episode of the Wine Time Fridays podcast by visiting winetimefridays.com or wherever you get your podcasts. And join us on our Wine Time Fridays Facebook page, Instagram, or on Twitter, which is @VintageTweets, for daily conversation. Until next week, here's our toast to you: to health, wealth, abundance, gratitude, peace on earth, and of course, romance.